We're parked right in front of the 16-unit building that he's got under contract.
We picked it up at a purchase price of $1.4 million, which is $87,500 a door. It drives the value of the building up to $1.7 million. And I'm sure I can go in and drop expenses in there too, so that can create a bigger spread in that. So we have almost $300,000 built in on equity on the buy.
We're back in Saskatoon with Fraser again, and so today we're going to be checking out his most recent acquisition. It's kind of unlike anything else you've done, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger than what we're used to. So
I'm really excited to be bringing you guys this story. We're diving deep into the numbers unlike anything we've ever done before, and specifically what this story is 16 units, $87,000 a unit, and we're talking $90,000 net operating income. Let's get into it. First of all, thank you, Fraser, for being willing to share this information. I know my audience is constantly just dying to learn more about bigger deals, and the fact that you're willing to just break down the numbers for us, that's honestly fantastic. So first of all, I just want to thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no problem at all. I love sharing the numbers, and I love talking about the numbers behind deals and how it's structured. I know that's one of the biggest barriers or challenges that people face when putting any type of deal together. So yeah, anything that I can help you guys with, I love to do it.
So the reason that we have this on the side of his truck right now is we're parked right in front of the 16-unit building that he's got under contract. So Fraser hasn't closed on it yet, so we can't actually do a walking tour of it, but we thought, let's break down the high-level concept of how this deal works in front of the building. So if you don't mind, just kind of walk us through what this project looks like.
Yeah, definitely. This is a 16-unit apartment complex. It has 14 two-bedrooms, 2 one-bedroom units, just on either side of the mechanical room. They're large, just very good units, well kept. A lot of them are renovated. A lot are dated too, but good shape overall. We picked it up at a purchase price of $1.4 million, which is $87,500 a door. Going rate in the city right now is roughly $105,000 to, I've seen them go $125 plus, and so it is a bargain. The rents are undervalued in this property. Average rents are $770, and in the area you can push about $850, $900. So that's an added feature also. So yeah, basically we bought this property with equity built into it. It's not closed yet, but we're deep in due diligence. We have a lot of money tied up in this thing already. We have our investors all lined up. We're just getting JVs signed here in the next week or two, and probably by the time this video airs, it'll be we'll be hard on the money.
I'm so excited. This is amazing. This is inspiring because this is the sort of buildings I want to take down too. And first thing you can even notice just from the outside, obviously purpose built, looks like 3 stories, so no elevator, which is great. So you're not going to get into those costs, especially with 16 units. That can really be burdensome. Looks like a flat roof on top.
No, it's a pitched roof.
Oh, is it?
It is a pitched roof, and it's got new shingles on 3 sides. The boiler's 9 years old. The water heater's 7 years old. The furnace is in good shape. It's just a well-kept unit. This is an older gentleman who owned this building. They're transitioning out of their rentals right now. This is actually the last unit they have for sale, and I just caught him at the right time, and yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
Nice. And so, private deal, right?
Private deal, yeah.
So we won't necessarily get super deep into it, but how do you approach someone on a private deal like this? This seller wasn't originally necessarily thinking of selling, right? You approached them.
Yeah, exactly. I caught them at the right time. I actually spoke with the wife, and she said the husband's actually at the building right now. So I was on the phone, so I hung up the phone. I was like, "Okay, I'll be right there." So I come over here, and I kind of told you this story a little bit earlier today, and he walked me through it. We checked it out, and he walked me through a couple of the vacant units, and then I went downstairs. I checked out the mechanical room, and then I remember I was scratching down numbers on my notepad on a washing machine, and then I went up and presented the numbers to him, and we ended up working out a deal in the next couple of days. So, and 1.4 is the price that we came in at.
And so when negotiating on a private deal like this, are you making that offer in writing? Is it verbal back and forth until you narrow down the details?
Off-market deals, I find this with single-family homes often too. It's a lot of verbal. We don't really pen or ink anything until we have something hammered out. And it's it's just easier for everybody. Sellers don't want to go through it, and they don't even know how to do up their own contracts half the time. So we do verbals on a deal, and then we will put it in ink.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how do you determine 1.4? Why did this work for you?
So I know a good price in the city is about 100, 105. Like that's what average is going for in the
unit.
city per unit, per door. And so I know a building that was purchased a little bit down the street actually at 66,000 a door roughly,
Oh, wow.
but it was in major disrepair. So I actually started at that. So I offered him $1 million for this building, and it works out to 66 or 67,000 a door. And then he came back at 1.5, and then I when we were kneeling down working on a stove, I was helping him with a stove.
Yeah.
And then I came back at 1.25, and then he came back at 1.4 and said that's it. And then I think I asked him if he would do 1.3. He said no. He said 1.4 is as low as we can go. So I told him I would go home and think about it and get back to him. I still knew it was a good deal and I was interested in it. I was actively looking for multifamily buildings. So I went home, reran all my numbers. I called him back the next day and said we'll take it. So then,
awesome.
yeah, then
I love it.
Yeah, so then we did the agreement up and it went to his lawyers. It was all signed, and yeah, we're moving forward on it. So yeah, it's good.
Sweet.
It's exciting.
All right, so let's now dive a little bit deeper into the numbers. So we got the 1.4 million purchase price that you negotiated. What's the rest look like?
All right, so your purchase price is 1.4. That gives us a down payment of $400,000 and closing costs. So 1.4 million at a 25% down payment is actually $350,000. But then we add another 50 on top for due diligence and closing, and that's just all your inspections and stuff like that.
And it's a lot more expensive when buying a large multifamily than a single family house.
Yeah, and then as the building gets bigger, your due diligence price will go up too, because especially if you do CMHC financing, because they charge a fee. So there's a balance you have to weigh, and it's basically, do you want a really good rate and pay the fee, and it takes a long time, or do you want to close it quickly with conventional financing? So there are good ways to do it, but either way is a good way. You just have to choose what's best for you. And then this building has a gross operating income of about $151,500. And then the net operating income is roughly $90,000. So that's all your income expenses, and not including debt service. So it's a good building. It's a true 7 cap, and I'm saying true because a lot of people, like we spoke earlier, they don't take into account a lot of the expenses that need to be taken into account. I actually have $100 a unit, so $1,600 a month, tied into the expenses on this, and that's calculated in the 7 cap. So
yeah, it's really shocking how many sellers seem to get forgetful around selling time. All they seem to remember for expenses is taxes and maybe insurance.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what about like repairs and maintenance? What about management? What about vacancy?
Yeah.
All those additional details,
Exactly.
and those can dramatically impact your numbers. So it's really important to understand you can lie to yourself with numbers if you're like cherry picking the numbers, right? So it's really important during your due diligence process to make sure you really understand, is that a true 7 cap, or is that, you know, a pie in the sky 7 cap?
Exactly, and you can lie to yourself and bend the numbers however you want, but it's not benefiting anybody, because if you get into this building and the numbers aren't performing how you want them to or how you projected it, it'll affect everybody. And if you have investors on it, they probably won't be happy. So yeah, do your due diligence. And then another thing with multifamily buildings that I love is a lot of people get hung up on the cash flow. They'll say like, oh, the cash flow is not enough for the amount of money that we're putting in, but you need to take into account that just the ability to raise the rents. So if you raise the rents $50 a unit in a house with a basement suite, you're up $100. But if you do that with a multifamily apartment complex, say even 16 units, it just compounds. And then you have your capital pay down, gets paid down so much quicker. These buildings appreciate differently than single family homes. They're valued just differently.
Yeah, a lot more specific to the earnings, right?
Exactly,
So
it's all based on
it at a 7 cap, but you've now increased the rents $50 each. It can dramatically increase the actual value of the property.
Yeah, and this building's actually a really good example of that. We bought it at we paid 1.4. Rents are $770, so the numbers work out. If we drive the rents up to $900 and rents are roughly in that area, in this area, 850, 900. It actually, this is all backed by CMHC too, or verified. It drives the value of the building up to 1.7 million. And I'm sure I can go in and drop expenses in there too, so that can create a bigger spread in that. So we have almost $300,000 built in on equity on the buy.
Yeah.
So that's the power of off-market deals.
Yeah, this is super exciting. And again, I really appreciate you breaking it down for us. So I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, how and where did this 400,000 come from? So let's dive into it with another sheet.
Yeah.
Whole second.
Yeah,
shot,
cool,
so
cool.
We'll be good. Slide
So
a little more to the right.
So I'll get slammed on social media for that.
All right, so just to summarize again, we got our purchase price 1.4. We got 400,000 with the down payment and closing. So you got 400,000 that was just burning a hole in your pocket?
No, not at all. So for deals like this, you have to bring investors together. That was actually a big thing for Vanessa and I. We did the conventional way. We bought a house, renovated the basement, bought another house 3 years later, and it was just a slow process. So we started working with investors the last few years, and it's just, we've been able to compound our growth. And instead of doing the stepping stone of buying property slowly and then getting into flipping and then getting into multifamily when you have those cash reserves, we just made it happen a lot quicker, basically.
Yeah, using other people's money is the fastest way to scale up your business, right?
Yeah.
So let's kind of talk through what the structure actually looked like.
Okay, so we need 400,000 from investors. So for this deal, we were giving away 75% of the building, so 18.75 per 100,000. Then YXL, our company, retains 25% for finding the deal and putting it together.
And so I know a lot of novice investors, whether they're on the finding the deal side or the inserting money as a money partner, at first they kind of struggle to understand why this is important or why this happens, that there's value in just finding the deal. But the key is, especially when you're sourcing this as a private deal, there's a lot of time and effort that goes in. Because it's not like you just talk to this one seller and you buy this property.
Yeah, exactly.
You probably talk to dozens, if not hundreds of sellers before you're able to find the right deal at the right price and the right terms.
Plus all the back end work, having to track everybody down and contact information. And there's just a whole bunch of work that people do not see. And
so do you mind, is there an exact formula you're using to determine the 25%, or how do you figure that out?
No, I just talked with a couple other people that were doing buildings of this size, and this seemed like a fair giveaway for investors. 18.75 per 100,000. That's cash flow, equity appreciation, and capital pay down. They get the whole meal. And our investors, this deal is already funded. They're more than happy doing that. They're excited about this deal. So 25%, it just was the number that worked out, and that's kind of where the cards fell, I guess.
Awesome.
So yeah.
And so Fraser's actually drawn out for us like an entire little org chart here. So if you don't mind, just kind of walk us through how the deal actually ended up coming together.
Yeah, okay, so basically I got the building under contract. I sent it off to financing right away, and they said through CMHC we could actually get up to 81% loan to value, up to 85%, but it's going to fall right around 81%. So that's essentially $100,000. And then over here you have, there's the option of a vendor take back on the table. So basically the seller leaves money in the property for X amount of years, and the value is $100,000 on that. So basically we had to raise $200,000. So from investor one, they put $100,000 into the deal for an 18.75% stake in the building. And then investor two did the same thing for $100,000 for an 18.75% stake in the building. And then because we got the high ratio mortgage, we essentially keep 18.75 in the building. And then with the vendor take back, that's essentially us raising another 100,000. So that YXL is keeping another 18.75. So basically the investors are just under 20% each, and then YXL's shares added with the 25% originally end up at 62.5% of the building.
Yeah. I love it. This really spells it out for people. And again, just in case anyone's confused about where this 100,000 comes from, again, remember they originally planned to do 75% loan to value. So because of the fact that they were able to actually increase that, that was considered essentially similar to the finder's fee here, where you're really bringing value or adding value because you went to the effort of getting that financing.
And another thing to touch base on with that, the investors are actually really happy because we can keep the group really small now. We're not dealing with 5 people on one deal.
Yeah.
You're more mobile. If there's equity built in and we can pull equity out and go into another building, it's a small party. We can, it's just, you're more maneuverable. So everybody's really happy about that, actually.
Yeah, I love it. And I, again, just want to thank you so much for taking the time to break this down. I know it provides a lot of value for the audience. If people are interested in like learning more or reaching out to you, what's the best way to get in contact? Yeah,
you can just follow me on Facebook at YXL Real Estate Investments, or you can follow me on Instagram at Fraser Nybo, or go to our website at yxlrealestate.ca. And yeah, you can get in touch with me any of those ways. And
awesome.
I'd love to chat with you.
So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel, and reach out to Fraser if you want to get in contact with him.
Awesome. Thanks you guys.